Now, last week, hundreds of names were published in the newspapers asking Kenyans to come and claim pensions and other assets left in the government's hands after their relatives passed on. And we've seen figures saying the last report done shows that unclaimed assets in the year 2008 were at around about an estimated figure of 9 billion shillings. And today, we are hearing the figure could be around 200 billion shillings. Tonight we've got Vincent Kimosop, the chairman of Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority. We've got Joe Ngige, Unclaimed Property Assets Register, as well as Thomas Seki, who will be telling us his experience in searching for this. Now, Thomas, tutaanza na wewe. Umekuwa ukijaribu kufuatilia mali iliyoachwa na marehemu mamako. Tafadhali tuelezee changamoto ambazo umepitia tangu mamako aage.
It has been 15 years and we never had any idea of how to claim the assets.
Yeah.
So we were jumping from one office to the other.
Yes.
Finding one person to the other, going to the court.
What did they say the problem was?
As in, they just tell you, you go and find your DO, you go to the chief, you go to the court.
Yeah.
And you have the documents like the death certificate. Then they tell you you have to get a letter from wherever she passed on.
Yes.
So it came to a certain point of giving up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay. Perhaps, Kimosop, you can tell us, the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority was set up to ensure that those who deserve to claim the assets of, relatives of parents that are deceased can access them. Just give us a brief of what the authority is doing today.
The Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority, in summary, does three things. It receives unclaimed money, then we retain these unclaimed monies, and then we also seek to reunify the rightful owners. This is the first time that we are having such a regime in Africa, and Kenya is setting precedent. And in the case, for example, of Thomas, what would have happened is that what the deceased owned, either in shares, insurance policies, or even money in safe deposits, those institutions should have actually reported to the authority. But there was no law obligating them to do. So as a result of that, we've had institutions using this money, others even we've even had fraud situations whereby employees in banks, in insurance, they actually target dormant accounts. So what has happened is that we have a transformative legislation in place that for the first time obligates all institutions that hold unclaimed assets, first to declare, then secondly, they should take steps to look for the rightful owners. Then thirdly, therefore, to remit if they are not able to find. So in summary, we are like the central bank, the reunifier of last resort. That the last stop somebody should come is the authority. So far, we are in the process of establishing, we are setting shop. We will be based at Passy Center, Westlands, and we will also take steps to reach out to Kenyans across the country.
All right, Joe, perhaps we can just bring you into the conversation now. And of course, your farm helps people track unclaimed assets. Where does somebody start?
Well, thank you very much. And the question of unclaimed assets is obviously a very complicated question. I think one of the leading causes of unclaimed assets is death intestate. Many people do not write wills or make succession plans, like the case for Seki. However, records are kept, but disparate. So we start by forensically reconstituting the estate, perhaps getting information from the last known address, and we assist them in putting that together, and then filing claims. Sometimes there is asymmetry of information. You find that the financial heads of households are very sophisticated in their understanding of the financial markets, unlike the people who are left behind. So we come in and interface and use our panel of experts to assist those estates. Okay.
Thomas, when you decided to start looking for the assets that your mother left behind, were you aware of, for instance, that there are farms that can help you find the kind of assets that your mother had?
No.
No.
There was no farm.
So where?
What happened is a friend of mine, she introduced me to Joe. So now Joe is the one who gave me the track now.
Yes.
Of how to start and where to look. Yeah.
But how long did it take you since the beginning? You said you started in 1998.
You know, at the moment, after my mom passed away, we went looking. So in a certain point, we just gave up. We gave up because of jumping from one office to the other, from this place to the other.
Yeah.
So now when I was introduced to Joe,
Yeah.
that is when I got the right track now. How to find this, how to find that, yeah.
Yeah. And what is the current process? When somebody wants to, to start filing a claim, how do they start? Where do they go? What do they need to bring with them?
Well, it depends. Normally, the cases that we handle, like I said, is interstate. So we're trying to reconstitute the estate. Normally, they would find that they have got perhaps evidence of shares, or they might have evidence of bank deposits. In the case of Seki, they had shares which we needed to immobilize and then give them the proceeds. They had checks and claim dividends. And the first starting point before the authority is set up, of course, when the authority is set up, then there are the relevant forms to fill and follow up the process. But right now, our basic approach is a forensic reconstruction of deceased estates.
What exactly does that mean in layman's language?
In layman's language, it means that perhaps, mail is still coming in from the last known address. And we always advise people not to close the box of if you lose a benefactor, don't close the
postal address.
Yes, because eventually you'll find a dividend check. And once you find a dividend check, before it goes stale, we can use that alone to find out what other counters that the benefactor left. So in layman's terms, don't destroy any records that you come across.
How about at the authority? Where do they start? What do they need to come with to file a claim?
Because there are different financial instruments. So, for example, the way we will treat a fixed deposit and the way we will treat an insurance policy and also the way we will treat maybe shares is that we give different treatment to different assets. But the first important thing is making sure that the person who is making the claim is actually the right person. If you look at like M-Pesa, for example, and I think I saw in last week's program, the M-Pesa, we have not classified M-Pesa, but the name, your SIM, you're told SIM, you should not disclose your SIM card to another person. So we have to authenticate to know that the person who is making this claim is the rightful person. So you come to the authority. First, the first place to start with, you can go to our website. That's the authority's website, because we are required to establish a website. And then you can check if your name is there and you have some amount, then you initiate the process of claiming. Yes. So you fill the form and then you bring the form to the authority. Then we are required within 90 days. So like it's very painful to hear the story of Tom, but if the act was there from 98, 90 days we're supposed to have gotten back to him and even finalized the process of reunification. The other advantage of this legislation, Terry, is that we actually for the first time even obligate the holders of unclaimed assets to look for the people.
Yes.
So the companies that the late mom had shares should have looked for him and actually informed him. Where the reunification agencies come in is that they are able to help in the reconstruction of the information and work closely with the authority. Yeah. So we will have to give such entities the license to operate, just the way we have brokers in the market. And with that, because it's a new industry we are building in the country, yes, we have to get it right, because we also have problems of fraud at times. So ensuring you have a watertight process, yes, but at the same time serve Kenyans so that people benefit from that which is rightfully theirs.
All right. We'd like to take some questions which are flowing in quite a bit from our social media platforms. That's on SMS 22422 as well as Twitter, where the hashtag is #TheBizCenter. And our first one there by P. Njoroge Kim, and he says, what about when claiming money in M-Pesa account? That one has already been answered by Kim Osop. And we've got another one coming up. Well, before we just come back to that, we've got Wycliffe Otieno at Otieno Wiki on Twitter, who says, I've been following an education policy claim for 9 years now, and the insurance firm keeps sending me back. What can he do?
It's actually wrong. Because the Act came into being in 2011. So and the Act section that even looks at unclaimed assets that were there before the Act came to be. So in 2 years, this insurance firm, I wish we knew the firm, was meant to pass the assets to the authority, or actually look for the claimant.
Yes.
So as soon as the authority we're planning to do a celebration, people to know how we work in government, so that he comes to the authority and we work closely with him towards him getting his policy.
All right, Joe, I'd like your input on that. What advice would you give Wycliffe as he continues his search, which is 9 years now?
Well, it's very unfortunate, but I don't know the particular circumstances of that particular issue. I don't know whether the policy is his or whether he's a beneficiary of that policy. But I presume that a lot of time there is what we call the KYC, the Know Your Client, and the details sometimes may not be fully comprehensive. But I would like to, perhaps if you could contact myself or Mr. Kimosop, we would want to take up the the particulars of that.
Okay. Thomas, do you have any questions for Vincent or for Joe? Because I'm imagining there's so many people out there who are going through exactly what you're going through. Perhaps you can just ask them, something that will benefit the other Kenyans out there.
What I wanted to ask is the process of maybe a person has passed away, a bank account.
Yes.
Maybe you've lost the deceased person, maybe you've lost the book.
Yeah.
But you have an idea of the account he had in a certain banking institution. What happens?
What happens?
So legally, for the first time, all financial institutions are obligated to look for the persons and actually declare to the authority what they have as unclaimed assets. So for the first time, if you had a bank account after 2 years, if it is inactive, they should notify the authority,
next of kin, or the
and
authority.
also look for the next of kin.
Yeah.
But we also advise Kenyans to ensure that we build a culture of record keeping, so that when I have a bank account, it is good to tell 1 or 2 people among your next of kins. But the advantage for the first time, and I would want Kenyans to know this, is that we have an authority that has its responsibility 24/7 to receive what holding institution have, and actually we look for these people. And if any holding institution does not declare, and like we already have projections, and we think they should have done, we are empowered by the law to actually even do a forensic audit.
All right, as we wind up, Joe, perhaps you can tell us, how long should it take for somebody to claim assets?
Well, with the new environment, it shouldn't take too long. I think any time between 6 months and 1 year should be more than adequate time to be able to sort out all those issues.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We are running out of time now, and we've got to wind this conversation. However, quite a number of questions coming through. Kenyans asking where can they find the authority. Perhaps a quick email address, website?
Okay, we are planning a major launch, which we will notify Kenyans. But we will be best at on second floor, Pasi Center, along Wayaki Way.
All
right. And how about you, Joe? Where can Kenyans find you? Email address?
Yes, we are at Suraj Plaza, and suite number G number 8. They can contact me on joe@upakenya.com.
All right. Thomas, asante sana. Thank you so much, Joe, for joining us at Vincent tonight. And that's how we wind up our big picture tonight. Let's head over to the other side for the Tenders Corner.